Moving along, presentations. 5A, we're to receive a presentation from District 4 Supervisor Wendy Askew regarding Homeless Commission attendance at the 2025 Lead Me Home Summit on Homelessness and advocacy for city consideration of adopting the Lead Me Home plan. The recommendation is the Commission will receive the presentation from District 4 Supervisor Askew highlighting the upcoming 2025 Lead Me Home Summit on Homelessness to explore openness and availability for attending the event, as well as to gain an understanding of the 5-year Lead Me Home plan adopted in 2021 to advocate to Seaside City Council for consideration in adopting the plan.
So thank you so much for having me. I have a couple highlights I wanted to share with you. Broadly speaking, I'm starting my second term on the Monterey County Board of Supervisors. District 4, I'm one of 5 elected county supervisors. District 4 includes the cities of Seaside, Marina, South Salinas, Del Rio Oaks, Sand City, and most of the former Fort Ord, including CSUMB and East Garrison. It's an honor to serve and represent our county and our communities. And I would try really hard to make sure that we're sort of finding that balancing act between representing the needs of our 5 cities, as well as asking those cities what, how do we work together to try to build and collectively build towards the future and identify our vision for how we're going to achieve those goals. So I did want to start by providing a little bit of information about the Lead Me Home plan update that identifies the regional vision for and plan for reducing homelessness in Monterey and San Benito counties from July 2021 through June 2026. The region works. This is the plan that guides our region and through the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers with a number of strategies for responding to the challenge of moving people from homelessness into housing. The idea that we have 12 individual cities in Monterey County plus the county, plus a number of service providers. And rather than having each jurisdiction trying to develop their own plan and execute their own strategies, the idea was that if we can come together, create a coordinated, unified vision for how do we do this work, what are the strategies that we're going to use, what are the goals that we're going to look to achieve, how do we measure our results, and how do we collectively put our resources towards those same goals with the same, how are we all rowing in the same direction, we're more likely to make progress towards the same unified outcomes. So this plan, it's not a large plan, it's a pretty straightforward set of strategies, but it's clean and concise. One of the main, and so what we've done is we've asked each of our jurisdictions, all 12 cities and the county, to adopt this plan. So the County of Monterey adopted this plan. Many of our cities have adopted this plan. The city of Seaside hasn't yet formally adopted this plan and agreed to say we are also agreeing that these are the strategies that we intend to use as a city, and these are the goals that we intend to align towards. So one of the asks that I have for the committee is to review the plan. We're still a couple years before the plan expires, so collectively we're still working with this plan. But as the committee, it would be great if the committee could take on the challenge of bringing this forward to your city council to understand, is this something that your city council would be willing to formally adopt? It would bring us closer to having all of our District 4 cities be on the same page, collectively working towards this plan's goals. The Coalition of Homeless Service Providers does have a leadership council, and I believe that Seaside has always had a representation on the Coalition Council. So your leadership should be very familiar with the coalition and should be very familiar with the strategies outlined in the plan. One of the plan goals and strategies was to expand service-oriented responses to unsheltered homelessness. strategy area 3, and within that, 3.3 is to provide safe temporary locations for people to stay. We do measure that through the biannual homeless unsheltered count. Our data for that count recently came out. I'm sure you received that information. And a few years ago, another one of the strategies in the plan, and Seaside really does a great job of this, is bringing along champions and finding champions within our cities who can help raise awareness and create policy solutions and bring forward policy solutions to help us move our strategies forward. So to that goal, I think it was 2022, we were able to have a summit on homelessness where we brought together over 650 Monterey County leaders from all across city councils, school boards, and there were 5 takeaway questions that we asked everyone to go back to your jurisdiction and can you answer these 6 questions or 5 questions. So the first one being, has your city council taken action to adopt the Lynda Home 5-year plan to end homelessness? If they haven't, please ask them to do so. Does your city ordinance allow for safe parking programs? The city of Seaside does. Thank you for your leadership on that. It's one of the most cost-effective ways that we've found to move people from unsheltered situations into safe housing. Who on your city staff is preparing to apply for upcoming Project Home Key funds? I don't know what the answer to that is in Seaside. We know that the state has had funding available and then not available. Roxanne Wilson with the county has been working in partnership with me. So if you have interest in partnering on that, let me know, let Roxanne know. We'd love to work with you guys on that. How many shelter beds are available in your city? We know that answer has increased over the last 5 years, in part due to Pasadena Chippewa Shelter, which the city has embraced, and I just want to say thank you. I'll have more information about that in the next slide. And do you know what the shelter emergency overlay map is for your city and where additional shelter locations could be identified? So that's a question that we just kind of are always putting out there, like where else would we identify additional emergency shelter locations? Where else would your city welcome hosting additional shelter locations? Siting shelters is one of the biggest challenges that we continue to face. And in fact, Pasadena Chippewa is located where it's located for the reason that it didn't require city approval. It was on county property and didn't require city approval to be placed there. So where in Seaside would a shelter be welcomed with city approval? That will always be a question I'm asking all of our city jurisdictions. Okay, so we have another Lead Me Home summit coming up. I want to welcome the commission to participate and to invite as many of our city leaders as possible to join us. It'll be on April 17th, 2025. Participation, I believe, is free. Derek, do you know that to be true? I'm saying that.
You do have to register.
Okay, you have to register, but everyone is welcome.
And I've attended in the past.
It's great.
No fee required.
Lots of information, lots of great networking. So please join us. We'd love to have you. I also wanted to just give you some information. The County of Monterey has had, for the last couple of years, a homelessness committee, which is another committee that meets for those in the audience who are interested in the issue. We have that available via Zoom. That committee is being cited or combined with we call it the 4H, Health, Housing, Human Services, and Homelessness Committee. So that will continue to meet with Supervisor Askew and myself this coming year. We welcome participation. We have a new county homelessness webpage. I wanted to make everyone aware of that. It's where all of our county homelessness strategies and initiatives information is being held. We also wanted to share some information, and one of the challenges that we're moving through is, and it's on the next slide, encampment strategies. With the change in legislation, the change in the court's rulings on grants passed, we've definitely found the local response to encampments is requiring more guidance, more policy guidance on a local level. And with the we would love to see, I would love to see the coalition provide some clear guidance that all jurisdictions could align with. We're not seeing that clear guidance come out locally. I'd love to see our county homelessness commission come out with that guidance. We haven't yet seen that agreement. We don't yet have agreement on what that guidance might look like. But we do have draft language that I would encourage the city to look at as a guide. I feel very good about the draft language that was presented at our last meeting. It aligns with the US ICH encampment strategies that are clearly outlined and are compassionate responses to how we can ensure that health and safety standards are maintained while also helping people move from unsheltered status into sheltered status. So that's on the next slide, is the encampment response proposed policies and procedures. That is something the county will continue to navigate. Let's see here. A couple other, there's a report that was done in 2019, I guess it was 2019, on student homelessness. So this is our encampment response formation and student homelessness. Part of the County Board of Supervisors, I was on the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District, where we had about 20% of our students MPUSD-wide who are under the McKinney-Vento definitions, and I'm sure you're familiar with the difference between HUD definitions and McKinney-Vento definitions. But McKinney-Vento definition, student homelessness, those numbers have only gone up since COVID. So we know our students in Monterey and Seaside and Marina are many are in very unstable housing situations, which for me is sort of a precursor to families becoming in even more unstable housing or unhoused. And so this report, I think, is an important one that I always like to reference, just because it's one of the few that speaks to some of the precursor reasons why families may be in unstable housing, or maybe in situations that lead to homelessness. I think we're headed into some more of those realities as we move forward. Let's see here. A few other highlights I wanted while I've got your attention and while I've got the platform here. Go to the next one after this. I did just want to mention one of the, again, the Casa de Noche Buena shelter that is situated in Seaside is one of, I think, our most significant accomplishments that the county and the city working together have been able to create stable, secure shelter for families. And having that come together here in Seaside has been absolutely incredible. And the way that the community has really embraced and supported that shelter in Seaside has been amazing. That site is a county-owned property that also is home to our social services building. That social services building serves the public assistance needs of the entire larger peninsula, North County down to Big Sur. So we have about 100,000 people who receive public assistance through the services provided at that building. The building is in need of significant repair and or renovation. So the county is looking at a number of options to restore that entire property to a more beautiful, appropriate service center. Some of the options, the main option that we're looking at currently could involve moving Casa de Noche Buena to another location. So that's a conversation that remains in dialogue. We don't currently have funding for that. So it would be about a $120 million project that's currently envisioned. I did just want to keep you posted and let you know that there's discussions that are that do continue, and we would of course keep the city posted as that discussion continues. With the commitment that the county's made to maintain Casa de Noche Buena in Seaside, but the further request may end up being that we do need assistance in identifying the city support for an appropriate location for Casa to be located that the county wouldn't necessarily have control over. So that may be an ask that I come back to this committee with for your support. We can go a couple more slides. Yeah, we can go to, I think actually, we can go to the very one, the site for county communications. I think I'm probably out of time because I, got started talking and keep talking. I could talk all night.
Okay.
But I didn't want to, as county communications.
Continue.
You want me to keep going? Okay, so there's a great organization called Local Progress that's doing some great work around local jurisdictions, advocating for all sorts of issues, but homelessness and encampment issues is one. So I did just want to call them out for you, localprogress.org. I've worked with them on a number of issues. I wanted to make sure you were aware of them. This is the new committee that homelessness is being added to, so if you're interested in signing up to get updates about our meetings and listening in, we'd love to have you tune in. They are available on Zoom.
Are there vacancies for participation?
So in the county, our committees, we have county commissions, but our county committees only consist of 2 supervisors. So this committee consists of Supervisor Alejo and myself for the 2025 year. So the meeting would just be Alejo and myself, but the Zoom is open to anyone who would like to tune in and listen to the meeting. And on each item, we do open it up for public comment. So, yeah. I mentioned the coalition earlier, so those meetings are also open to the public. Stay connected. We've got broadly county communications. We've done taken great effort to expand county communications. We had a lot of communication come out this weekend in regards to the Moss Landing fire, but if you're interested in getting just general updates about things that are happening in the county, I encourage everyone to sign up for county communications. That's our link. And then my office, we do a weekly email, not weekly, we do an email on occasion. It's about monthly-ish, so I wanted to make sure that anyone who was interested, and we do advertise for our commission vacancies. We have, Derek sits on our Behavioral Health Commission, we have Community Action Commission, Parks Commission. Oh my gosh, there's dozens of county commissions. There's something for everyone, so yeah. And then these are for the district office. It's a full-time job for me, unlike your city electeds that's volunteer. For me, it's full-time job, and I have a staff of 3 who help make sure that I'm fully prepared for all of my meetings and to be responsive to the public. So feel free to reach out to our office at any time. I think that's everything. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer questions or provide more information. Mostly, I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit more about how the county is working on these issues, and invite the city to partner as a SLAM in adopting the 5-year plan. That would be significant, and inviting the city to attend and be an active participant in the summit that's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. I am Lynda with a Y and only recently figured out it's WHY. I just have a lot of questions. So back to I want this new county building like you can't believe it, how bad. I mean, Sea Grove looks so beautiful. We're paving all these roads. It's a 50-year-old building. It's old and tired, and we deserve a better building, and the county can do that, and it'll be better for everybody on the entire peninsula and marina. It's not just for Seaside, it's bigger than Seaside, and we want this building in Seaside. The Casa Noche Buena building sits at the back. It looks like it's a portable building. Do we know if that could be moved, if we can find a location to move it to? Is that sort of the vision for keeping Casa Noche Buena in Seaside, or is the vision bigger building, something else?
Yeah, so those are questions beyond my pay grade.
Okay.
We have facilities experts who are better qualified to speak to those answers. And at this point, the cost, the entire project is one where we have the board has identified it as a capital improvement priority. We've had it identified as a legislative priority. We've had it on our CIP, capital improvement priority project list, for a number of years. However, when it finally, I think we caught everyone's attention, there were some questions about the cost and some questions about the scope. So we are going to be receiving a presentation at some point with some more information. And it will still require some support from the full board in order for it to move forward, and it will still require funding commitments. So the services provided in that particular site are not services that have ongoing funding associated with them to fund capital buildings. So it's a unique challenge that we have before us. I appreciate your support and enthusiasm. It is my #1 priority to see this facility through. And I recognize that it may continue to change in terms of how the scope looks and as we continue to negotiate through the process. But I believe that our 60% of our residents in Monterey County receive some form of public assistance. And we have 65 county employees currently working in a facility that really doesn't meet the needs or is appropriate for any county employee to be working in. So my commitment is to ensure that we have appropriate facilities for our county workforce, and that all individuals who receive public assistance can receive that assistance in a facility that is dignified and respectful, as well as that Seaside Library has a long-term permanent home in a location that is appropriately suited for those needs. So I'm fully committed to seeing that through, and look forward to finding the answers that are going to best meet the needs of all stakeholders involved. So how's that
Okay,
for
so we're not sure if we're going to keep that building.
So
I'm excited about that building, but we also want to, I remember from the presentation, Casa Noche Buena is unbelievably successful, just out of the ballpark successful in helping people get their lives back together. We don't want to lose that, but I don't know if we can move that building, if it'd be like a fund, of course it'd be money to move it. You can't move a building for free, you have to have somewhere to put it. Is there other property that the county owns in the city of Seaside? Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
I will say it was also, it's a really old portable,
Yeah,
so there are
why not?
challenges in that space as well.
Yeah.
There may also be a scenario where we're able to have design that accommodates keeping it where it's located. So really at this point, we're everything's on the table, and we're just kind of figuring out where to and how to scope things out.
Okay, and I'm grateful for that, and I'd love to keep the cypress tree, because there's a beautiful cypress tree that building's up against, so I'd love to keep that. This list of 5 things, so I'm all good for encouraging the city to adopt this 5-year plan that sounds like it started in 2001. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I feel like, shouldn't we all be working, maybe this is the piece that's missing. Like, I'm assuming we're working with your group. I'm all for advocating for this adoption. I'm not sure how our do we need to make a motion that we would, send a letter to the mayor and the city council asking them to adopt? I don't know the process for do we vote on it, and then do we vote on what?
At least for today, we're just receiving a presentation.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
isn't an action item to
Right.
be voted on. So at a future meeting, right now that this is brought to our awareness, we can put it on as an official agendized item. So that then we can make sure to have the full discussion, invite public comment, and then
And maybe
put out
have somebody from the
motions
city come
to
and
say
explain.
how we want to proceed and so on and so forth.
Okay, and then on that same page, who on the city staff is preparing to apply for upcoming project home key funds? Is that something
So
there?
again, I think,
Oh,
just
that's
as we
just-
want
that's
to
just-
say,
okay.
I guess
Yeah.
my general response to the 5 questions right now is these were just brought to our attention.
Right.
Therefore, they require some research and behind the scene kind of looking into before they can really be answered.
Okay,
So
then
I'd say
I'll
for
ask for
today,
something on a future agenda
yeah,
to
so I'd
look
say
at
for today,
these 5.
let's just,
And as for the Lead Me Home Summit, can 3 of us attend? Can only 1 of us attend? Can we attend but not talk to each other?
so as we run into this quorum kind of tricky situation in the past, my suggestion is maybe having a designated representative go. I can tell you I will be attending the summit as well, just from my programs, activities and how we engage the, unsheltered unhoused population, just to make sure we're well informed, as well as continuing networking and building partnerships in this work. But yes, I would suggest that, as a commission, you decide on who might be a good representative. That way you don't run into any potential core issues.
Okay, and would that be an agendized item that we take a vote on who is going to represent us?
Sure, yeah, so
I
we
would
could
be
bring that
asking
as
at the
a,
end to
yeah,
have
so
that.
as
I guess those will be the end of my questions, but I do want to thank you for your time, and I really hope that we can interact, feel like we're working with people who, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and I want to do things, so I want to work with some people who are doing things
Yeah, thank you.
and follow in those footsteps.
Just a couple comments in response to your questions, if I made the questions that were proposed here, those were questions that were presented at the initial Leave Me Home Summit from 2022. So I don't know currently what type of, it's not even round one project, that was from round one Project Homekey. Derek, I don't even know if there's Project Homekey funds out.
not
this
that I'm
point,
aware of at the moment.
So that may be a moot issue, but so the question would kind of be morphed into, who's watching to see what type
Right,
of next
and I would
funding.
receive some kind of communication if that was the case, so.
So just to clarify on that point.
Yeah,
And then on the original Leave Me Home Summit on Homelessness, which goes into some detail about the plan, the 5-year plan, that is on Zoom. That's available. Anyone can go on Zoom and watch any portion of that. So, everyone can watch that. You don't have to, without violating any kind of Brown Act quorum, issues. So that was one of the benefits of having it on Zoom that first year, and why we were able to get such great participation. I will also say, I think there's many of our boards and committees where they've been able to, because there's multiple workshops at the summit, where they've even been able to say, okay, we're not going to go to the same workshop. So we're here, but we're just going to, like, if I see you there, I'm going the other direction kind of thing. But your legal counsel would be best to advise. I don't want to get in between you and Sherry Damon. So I would never. And then I don't actually sit on the coalition. I'm invested in the coalitions for homeless service providers' success. I don't sit on the leadership council either, but I am deeply invested in the success of this plan and in the work that's happening. But either for your committee or for your council, when you bring this forward, Roxanne or someone from the coalition, Katrina, I'm sure would be more than happy to have someone come present the strategies, present the strategy areas, and present some of the goals from the plan. And I will also, I think, just as a note, this is the 5-year plan update. There was a full 10-year plan prior to this 5-year plan update. So there's been a lot of work over the years invested in this effort and this guide. And we are, I think as a result of this, one of the few jurisdictions that did see, until this last count, for 2 counts in a row, we saw a sustained reduction in our total numbers of unhoused individuals. We were one of the few in the state. We did see an uptick this last year. I think there's some reasons for that, but it has been a successful plan, so be a good thing to be part of, or to consider being a part of.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well,
thank you so very much.
Okay, so I would like to open it up for public comment if members of the community wish to speak on this presentation we received. You may do so for up to 3 minutes, and for public record, please state your name.
Wes Wyatt, Lynda County Homeless Union co-president. I'm also on the LEAD committee, which is part of the Continuum of Care Lived Experience Advisory Directive. I enjoyed the presentation very much, thank you. I guess I wanted to throw out there, like, please start getting more involved with the Monterey County Homelessness Commission, as well as the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers Board meeting, as well as the Leadership Council board meeting. If you lived in Salinas, I'd throw out there, like the Housing and Land Use, as well as the City Council and the Board of Supervisors, and that goes along with the Homelessness Committee. The people that are directly impacted, they don't even understand that these committees really exist and how they may actually interact and work cohesively with the jurisdictions. Because, people are just losing their rights. And it's human rights, human dignity, human life, quality and quantity of life is what's being lost here. Constantly driven out, no possessions, no personal property unless you have some real property that you paid for. And that makes it really difficult to, function in this culture. And it's almost like on purpose, this is predatory action by, the haves against the have-nots. So how do we balance that equality, especially through jurisdictions, because the business hasn't complained, the homeowner hasn't complained, and therefore my eyes are burning, oh my God, so they need to go. And it doesn't matter where they go, just as long as they don't be here. And we just want to take all your stuff, so then that way we don't see you wherever you go next. And that's been our perpetual attitude, perception, and hopefully we're starting to realize that, the number's only growing, and eventually it's going to be your own friends, your own family, your neighbors, you. And where's our humanity, compassion, and stuff that we learned in preschool and kindergarten and grade school? Those are the things we need to use in life the rest of our lives and not let society beat us out of it. So help me stop the sweeps and give people an address. I'll say 400 square feet in the structure, 20 feet by 20 feet of personal space is not a lot.